start. My dad got me into the sport. He started racing in 1992. He raced, they were called street stocks, super stocks. They were mainly, junkyard cars where, you rip everything out, put a race engine in, a race seat, maybe race tires, put a fuel cell in it. Over the years, he got really competitive with it and had a lot of success. 1999 through 2002, won a couple championships in there, a ton of races. And then he moved into modifieds after that, he ran a few races in a late model. From 92 to 2006 was when he mainly raced, and then he came back and raced a handful of times in 2014, but he's the one that got me into it. So I started at 6 years old in 2001. They were called mini micros. They quarter midgets with groove tire wings on them. So a good way to get started. Won Rookie of the Year my first year. We found out by the end of the year it wasn't the driver, it was the car that wasn't so great. And so we upgraded the next year. All year was dominated by Sammy Gallo, and then I swept the open wheel challenge at the end of the year. We went on to race 2 asphalt races in Pomona, California. But other than that, for over those 5 years, we ran I-76 Speedway, the little infield track, IMI, VDR and Berthoud, Garden City Airport Raceway in Kansas. So in those 5 years, I had 40 races, 9 wins, 2 championships. When I was 11, in 2006, I jumped into a 600 micro, ran second my first race. We only got to run a couple races that year, but the next year, 2007, we ran 14 races. We got to race VDR and Berthoud, as well as Big Country Speedway on the asphalt in Cheyenne, and then we ran I-76 on the big track at the end of the year. And we had a lot of good success and also tore up that car a lot. I had a really good crash where I fractured several vertebrae in my neck and my back and tore the car up real good. Had another good crash where the car put it on its side once, blew a couple motors, several heat wins, trophy dash wins, but we let a lot of features go. I'd be leading and we'd have overheating problems, carburetor problems. Last race of the year, we broke a suspension part with 3 to go. I had a huge lead. So the 600 was a blast, but could never get a feature win in one of those. In 2008, I jumped up to an econo stock. It's kind of like a hobby stock, factory stock. And I was 13 years old, and that year we ran 10 races. So my first race at the Icebreaker, I started 10th and finished 5th. And I know we had some like 25, 30 cars. I remember we had another good top 5 during the year, and then the Fall Classic, we ran really good. We had a 3rd place in the qualifier on Saturday, and then a 5th place in the feature on Sunday. And we had something like 35, maybe 40 cars for that. So wish we just had the motor for it. And then 2009, we took off with the economy and everything going on, and we rebuilt my dad's old late model. And so in 2010, when I was 15, jumped in its late model. It was 20-year-old chassis, IMC modified motor. We had junk 10-year-old shocks on the car, 10-year-old tires. A bunch of just old used up stuff on it. We didn't know what we were doing. There was a lot of critics, a lot of skepticism on what I was going to do. And, we're running almost mid-pack. And then about halfway through the year, Danny Conselman with Moon Racing, he kind of started to push us in the right direction, with shocks, getting our springs rated, getting ride heights, very simple stuff. We had a guy we were racing with, giving us his used takeoffs. So we were kind of just slowly throughout the year getting better. And by the 6th race of the year, I won the heat race. And then the 7th race, I swept the heat and the main. Came out the next race, won the heat. We had a pretty decent year. Car count was kind of hit or miss. So my rookie year, we ended up 2nd in points and 4 heat wins and a feature win out of 9 races. So my second year in the late model started off good. I went to Jetmore, Kansas, almost made the show out of the B main. Due to luck, missing crashes and stuff, but some of the best guys in the region. It was a MLRA, Mars, NCRA, CLMA late model show, and you had a lot of big name guys around the region there, and we were one spot out in the B main, with only a couple laps to go, and so didn't make the show. But then the next day went to the icebreaker, led almost the whole feature. Last lap, there was a lap car that spun out in front of me. I went high to avoid. Second place went low. He got by me. We had another win slip away halfway through the year. And then 2012 is when things kind of started to go backwards for us. Even though we were figuring out how to go faster and slowly update the car and parts on it, we were just getting further behind everybody. And we had a lot of mechanical problems. From electrical, fuel, blew a motor. But went out to Jetmore, Kansas again. We actually made the show both nights. There weren't as many cars, but it was a good weekend still, up against a lot of those really good regional late model guys, and took home $1,400 for starting those two races, even though we had transmission problems, and only ran a total of probably 8 or 10 laps the whole weekend. Took home some good money. We go into 2013, and we ran a few local races, and then went to a couple SLMR races at Mid-Nebraska Speedway, and then Lexington at Dawson County Raceway. We had carburetor problems, blew another motor, kind of ended the year. And then in 2014, my dad put a motor in the late model to race, and so I kind of just crewed for him. I was in college, and he just wanted to go out and have some fun, so we did that. And then I got to go race the late model for the Fall Classic, and we were running 8th out of 14, 15 cars, and blew another motor. I think blew like 3 motors in 8 races. Like we were done. I had no money being in college and all that, so overall in the late model I ended up with 33 starts, 1 feature win. I had a second in points, third in points. And then 2015, 2016, I was helping Danny Conselman in a sport mod, run old used equipment, for car owners, but I was crewing for him. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of traveling and stuff. He had lived 2 hours away, so going to college full time, trying to work a lot. It was, Friday night, Thursday night, jump in the car at 9, 10 o'clock at night, get out to him at midnight, work on the car, try to go race 1, 2, 3 nights. But it was a lot of fun for 2 years. And in 2015, we ran 31 races and got 7 wins, BST championship. Learned a lot. There's a lot of excitement. Danny, he gives it everything he's got. He knows what he's doing. On the track, off the track, he's a great guy. I mean, we were always helping other guys, with setup. Danny would be welding somebody's bumper on. We're loaning out parts. We're, doing everything we can to help guys. And, a lot of guys still didn't like us. 2016, he ran for a different car owner, and we didn't get to race as much. We had rainouts, mechanical problems on the race car, and we had a slow start. We weren't very successful at first, and then all of a sudden, halfway through the year, like 4th of July weekend, all of a sudden we went on a tear and won, I think, 6 out of 7 races. And now all of a sudden, guys are trying to protest us. They're trying to claim engines. It's like, we don't own the car. We don't own the engine. We can't just give it up in a claim. And so that kind of shut our season down right there. So we still ended up with 6 wins in only 15 races that year. And then during 2016, I bought my own dirt modified. Everything was mine. I bought the car, it was a roller, it's kind of used up. I replaced, fixed a bunch of stuff on it. So I came out at the end of 2016 to run my first modified show at the Fall Classic, and we actually ran pretty decent. We made the show on the qualifier, and there was 30, 35 cars. We were running around 10th, 12th, in the big show on Sunday and started having engine problems, fuel problems that were really noticeable, and I ended up pulling off. But then, went to a winter race, ran third. So 2017 we came out kind of, car was in better shape. I had more things ready on it and all the spare parts, and started off real good. Went 15th to 9th the first night out. Out of, there was again 35 cars that showed up, and we just slowly kind of started falling back. Started having DNFs, mechanical problems, getting tore up. Ended up traveling out to Cortez for a weekend, and ran okay. In 2018, decided, okay, I'll get back into modified. I got the engine, I got parts still, so I bought a newer car. Basically same thing, stripped it down, rebuilt it, had to build my own body on it, go through everything. To me, it was a pretty good, top-notch car for being a few years old. And I had some health problems that, kind of towards the end of the year once I got the car done. So we made one race, and we were living in Omaha at the time, so we made it up to the new Raceway Park in Jefferson, South Dakota. Ran like 13th out of 18. Got caught up in a couple crashes, destroyed my brand new body. Helmet, fogged up, couldn't see. 2019, same car, back in Colorado. We went to 2 races and just got destroyed both times. This car where I had all brand new parts on it. I had built a brand new body on it myself, and after 3 races in this car, body's destroyed, parts are destroyed, brand new tires and wheels, shocks. We always had issues. Every year with the modified stuff, we always had a fuel problem that we couldn't figure out. The only thing I never completely changed out of the car was the carburetor. It had been rebuilt, gone through, but we had fuel problems the whole time. So we kind of, at that point, I really was taking a step back. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And kind of started looking at, do I go to a micro sprint, a dwarf car? And so in 2020, that's what we did. We went into the dwarf car deal. We went to a total of 12 races and had 4 DNFs. The other 8 races, we had a win. We had 3 seconds, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths. My first heat in the dwarf car, I won in North Platte. A track I had never been to. Probably the most successful year I've ever had racing. When you look at the competition, the car count, during the regular season, almost every race was like 20 cars, 24 cars. The specials, we had like 35 cars at the Riverside Rumble, 35 cars at the Fall Classic. Then we came away with our 3rd championship, running the Winter Series deal. Just a great year. And then sold out in 21 for a variety of reasons. Thought might very well just be done for good. So some of my history with racing, as far as stats go, from 2001 through 2020, basically, I had 124 career starts. And so, basically 6 a year on average. We had, in those 24 years, 12 years out of those, I ran 2 races or less. Some years we didn't race at all. So really limited. And, but with that, out of 124 races, I have 11 feature wins, 3 championships, and 27 heat or trophy dash wins.